Hi, my name's Adam. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about 5 RRSP mistakes that you're probably making. Now, we've done a video before on 5 RRSP mistakes. We have done this video before, but these are 5 new mistakes. And I can probably do 100 of these videos because there are a lot of mistakes that you guys are making. Stay tuned. We'll break down all 5 and hopefully make sure that you're not making these mistakes. Mistake number 1 is not taking advantage of any RRSP matching you may have through work. Nowadays, most people don't have a defined benefit plan through your work. Unless you're a government employee, you probably don't have a defined benefit plan. But a lot of employers are now putting an RRSP matching in place, meaning that they will match up to a percentage or a dollar amount on every paycheck or every month. So if your employer is offering this, if they're going to offer, let's say 3% of your pay or $100 a paycheck, as long as you're putting that amount in, make sure you're maxing that out. A lot of you want to make more money, get a pay raise, all of that, but your company's offering you, $100, maybe $500 every paycheck, as long as you put that amount in. That's free money. Yes, it's for retirement down the road, but you're going to need it. So if your company offers some sort of matching program, make sure to take advantage of that. The second big mistake I see, and I'm reading more and more about this all the time. I'm actually doing my CLU Chartered Life Underwriting course right now, which is an advanced estate and tax planning course. And there's a lot of examples of this and the real life examples that I come across as well, in that you're naming the wrong person as your beneficiary on your RRSP. Now, if you're married or common law, you need to, or you should be naming your spouse or common law partner. That way your RRSP will roll over them on a tax-free basis. Now, if you're in a blended family or more complicated situation, you may not want to do that. It probably makes the most sense, but you may want to look at, like, if you want to leave your RRSP maybe in trust for your current spouse, but then eventually go to your kids or something like that, there may be more layers to it than just naming your spouse or common law partner as a beneficiary. Now, if you don't have a common law or spouse, maybe they passed away or you just never had one, a lot of you will name a child. Let's say you have 2 kids and you name one beneficiary on your RRSP and the other one is a beneficiary of your house. And you say, well, my RRSP is worth $200,000, my house is worth $200,000, it's a wash. Be aware, the house passes on tax-free. The RRSP will be taxed when you die. So there's not equalization in payment there. So be very careful when you start naming people as a beneficiary on your RRSP, because it may cause and lead to some issues within your estate plan, within your tax planning and estate. It may not create pure equalization like you intend to do. Sometimes naming your estate, even though that means your RRSP or your RIF at that point might go through your estate and you have to pay probate, it may be the best option. And again, as I'm going through my course right now, there's a lot of examples of people trying to avoid probate, but it's costing them more on the tax side. So again, probate planning and tax planning are 2 very different things. Make sure you understand who you're naming as your beneficiary and as the right person or persons going forward for your estate plan. So mistake number 3 is not thinking you need an RRSP because you have a defined benefit pension plan. And for those of you that have a defined benefit pension plan, a lot of you just sit on the sidelines, right? You build up your defined benefit plan, and I know that takes a lot of your RRSP room away. I get that. There's something called a pension adjustment, and if you're contributing to a defined benefit plan, you're not going to have a lot of RRSP contribution room, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be using it. You should be. You should be building that up. There's a whole mindset and theory out there that you have too much RRSP or too much defined benefit in RRSP. Look, unless you have a really good defined benefit plan and a really large RRSP and you're retiring late in life, like 70 plus, I've never come across a situation where you have too much registered investments, RRSP, defined benefit. We've seen very large defined benefit plans and very large RRSPs, and sometimes together. And there's still tax planning and ability to pull that out, and it still creates tax efficiency in building up that RRSP and using it in retirement. So if you have a defined benefit plan, don't fall under the assumption that you don't need an RRSP. You're probably still making a good high income. You can still get a tax break now at a higher tax bracket than you're in retirement. So take advantage of the RRSP. Now, again, I always say, if you have a defined benefit plan, you also want to make sure, and this is for everyone, but you want to make sure you also build up that TFSA. So I'm not going to cover that in this video, but don't forget about your RRSP. You still have a bit of RRSP contribution room every year. You max that out. Use that as much as you can afford to build up that RRSP as well. The 4th mistake I see, and we're seeing it right now with a lot of you watching this video, is you're planning for long-term. The RRSP is, it's for long-term, it's for retirement. And look, retirement may be next week, next year, it may be right around the corner. But the reality is you probably don't need to pull out most of or a large portion of your RRSP for many years. Typically 7 to 11% is kind of the range that you pull out of your RRSP as you start pulling out. So it's a decent percentage, but that means that 90% or more of your money is staying in there for a longer period of time. And so what happens is you're planning for the long term, but investing for the short term. And when we see bumps in the market like we're seeing right now, a lot of you are panicking saying, I'm getting close to retirement, I'm just gonna go to cash. And you're crystallizing those losses. And so you have to get out of the mindset of planning long-term, investing short-term. Understand your plan, build a portfolio that matches your plan, and stick to it. Don't jump ship. A lot of you that are watching this video are either close to retirement or early into retirement. Hopefully you built a plan leading up to this that suit your investment mix and risk tolerance matches your planning need. And if it doesn't, go back and kind of rejig that. Now may not be a good time to rejig it because you might be at some losses, but going forward, you need to kind of rejig that as the market comes back up. And so you need to put on those blinders and just focus on the plan and not so much the investments. Obviously you have to pay attention to that, but don't look, short term on those investments when really it's long-term money. And the fifth mistake we see, and we have a video on this, I'll link it up above here, but it's not drawing out your RRSPs or your RIF as quickly as you should when you hit retirement. A lot of you will lean on other income. Maybe you start your CPP, your old age security, things like that, and you defer your RRSP. And what happens is that becomes a big tax liability later at death. Again and again, I can map out 100 situations and every single one will tell me that you should draw down your RRSP early. So the whole concept of the RRSP meltdown is drawing out your RRSP or any registered account as quickly and tax efficiently as possible. When you hit retirement, whether that's at 55 or 70, you want to start drawing out your RRSP as tax efficiently, but as quickly as you can. If you're 70 and retiring, you don't have a whole lot of time, but if you're 55, you have a lot of time. Defer that CPP. Look at when the OAS makes sense to take. Start drawing down that RRSP or RIF at that point, convert to a RIF, start drawing that down. Like ideally in a perfect situation, you're drawing that RRSP down until about 70, you start CPP, and that kind of takes over a lot of your income. RRSP then is either gone or drawn down quite a bit. That's a good situation. And again, I can map this out in our software again and again and again, showing you that that's going to give you more income after tax income and just pay less tax overall. And it usually bumps up your estate a little bit as well. So all of the things kind of come together and lead to you need to start drawing it out faster than you probably are. Again, I come across a lot of retirees, they reach out to us for a plan and they've been retired for a year or two and they've just been pulling out the minimum RIF amount or maybe none at all because they started CPP and they're trying to not touch their investment. The reality is you need to start drawing down that RRSP or that RIF account in an efficient manner. So if you don't know how to do that, how to structure that, reach out to our office. We do offer fee-for-service financial planning. You can learn more at parallelwealth.com/planning. Again, you need to have a good plan in place. I don't know how people enter into retirement without a clear retirement tax estate plan. You're winging it, you're losing lots of money. The amount of money that a lot of you are giving to CRA or leaving on the table by not kind of putting the proper plan in place is mind-boggling. In fact, we typically will save a client well into 6 figures in tax and add more income to you. A lot of you look short-sighted saying, well, I don't want to pay the money to put a plan together, not looking at the amount it's going to save you. If I told you you could invest $4,000 and get over $100,000 return over the next few years, would you do that? I think you would. I think most people would. So, make sure you find a fee-for-service financial planner in your area. If you can't, reach out to us. We do plans for people across the country. Whether you live in Quebec, Ontario, Alberta, it doesn't matter where you live. We're in BC. We have a planner in Ontario as well. So we're kind of across the country as well, and we can serve anyone across the country. Thank you so much for joining us in this video. Hopefully these 5 RRSP tips help you out. Again, go back to review your RRSP. Are you following things properly? Do you fall into any of these 5 kind of traps or mistakes that we see commonly made? If you are, make sure to correct them going forward. Again, thanks for joining us in this video. We'll see you in the next one.